All right, says we're live now. Cue the is anybody out there? This is just a little test I wanted to do here, so we'll see if we get some people to join. Basically, this is going to be a Q&A, so whoever joins, ask whatever you want, and I'll see what I can do. Looks like it's working though. Hopefully the quality doesn't crap when you guys go to watch this later, potentially. Oh, hey, one joined. What's going on? Hey, thanks. I always love seeing comments like, I love your videos. We got another one joined. What's up? This is kind of like a Q&A, so you guys can oh, really? Oh, I messed up. Okay, I know why that is. Hold on a second. I'm going to restart this. Alright, so I switched it to mono. Let me know if that sounds better. This is an ATH A500X. I actually never reviewed it. Alright, good. Nope, it's not your fault. I have a Focusrite Scarlett Solo, so it records everything in stereo. It's two different channels. Mic only goes on one of them, so I just had to set it to mono. But yeah, this is an A500X. This is not the A900X. A900X is being sent around right now on Discord so that people can hear it. So yes, let's see what happens. How you like them? Did you equalize them at all yet, or are they just like really, really bright like I find them? XB500. I actually never heard. Let me see if I can remember. It was a couple of years ago, maybe. XB700, I heard, but I never actually like reviewed a pair of those. HE400S. I thought that was a bit etchy, you know, like kind of sort of bright. Oh yeah, it pranks. VOQ1. Actually have not heard of the Q1 before. I'm not big into amps and decks though. Speakers I would love to be into, but that's a really expensive hobby. Yes, HP50 is actually right here. So yeah, it exists. But as far as speakers go, I only have like hi-fi speakers in the other room, so I don't have any. I wanted to get like LSR 305s at one point because it'd be nice to have a sort of flat reference from a speaker perspective rather than headphones. DT880s are very diffuse field equalized, so you know it depends on how you perceive them, or if you're hooking them up to, you know, a warmer amp, they may be perfectly fine. They have a lot of definition, a lot of detail, especially the 600 ohm. I just don't like the brightness, but it only affects some genres as well. There's so many factors that go into what you perceive as flat or neutral or bright or dark. It's kind of ridiculous. That's why I need to make a video on that. Okay. Most bassy headphones. Insane bass response. Yeah, you're probably going to want to go with like an XB700, an XB500. Someone just asked me that earlier. If you want maximum possible bass. Dac amp improving the sound of an HE400S even though it's easy to drive. Ooh. I don't know. I don't have a large selection of DACs and amps, so I couldn't tell you for sure. Opinion about burn-in. Mostly garbage. Mostly just mental. But there is something to be said that some of the brands will say that you should burn them in, but they think that there's not that much change after maybe like 100 hours or so. So I don't know. I'm kind of like lukewarm on burn-in though. Not big on that. Let's see. CD900 ST. Yeah, I always wanted to hear a pair of those. Which closed back for EDM? Oh, I would definitely go with the A900X. Though you might have to boost the bass a bit to be really satisfying. M560. Yeah, that's funny. I thought I replied to you that I'll let you know when I'm ready for those. Reference gear. What I'm using is and it's not the best. I'll tell you that much. I've learned to know at least that much, but it's a Modi 1, a Magni 2, and basically any headphones that I'm reviewing. That's what I'm listening through. PC specs: 4790K, 16 gigs of DDR3. Amazingly enough, I only have a GTX 770. Pretty sad. I need to get a 1080 Ti or something like that. Plan to review DACs. Man, if only my ears could detect differences between them so well. But honestly, I haven't heard enough of them side by side ABX to tell you if I could even review DACs. But I don't actually have any right now. I mean, if someone sends one over, maybe I'll take a look at it. SHP 9500. I have heard those. I actually, some of you may know that I hung out with Zeos Pantera, and I actually know the guy. And yeah, I heard his, and they were pretty decent. I don't know if they're really on the level of the HD 600, like he says, but I thought they were reasonably neutral, but probably lacking in the bass, I think. So from what I remember. Nice, yeah, 960. That's a lot better than what I have. I used to play games a lot more. I used to stream Battlefield actually a long time ago. I still play occasionally. Yeah, 1070 is a good card. But yeah, for the M560 guy, Rojas, yeah, I did get your message. I thought I replied. So I'll let you know. But yeah, as far as like DACs and amps, I'm not as big on that stuff. Mainly because like headphones make the largest difference, but that doesn't mean that amps and DACs don't make a difference, because they do. So maybe my opinions over the years have been colored a bit because the Magni 2 is supposedly a little bit bright and a little bit etchy. So just something to keep in mind as you watch my reviews. Z1R, man. Please send me one. I know those are expensive. I haven't heard any great things about them though. Wow, that's a good one. 2 pairs to use forever. Whew. The guy who just mentioned me on Twitter, just go to the live chat and just go in there and type 2 pairs of headphones for the rest of my life. Man, that's way too hard of a question. Why you have to ask me that? Right now, I feel like I could live with the HD 800 with EQ for a long time. But the best headphones I've ever heard, I think overall, price no object at the moment, is probably the 009 on a Blue Hawaii SE. And I have to say the LCD4 sounded really good, but it was a very short demo. And then I really need to spend some more time with the Focal Utopia, because it seems like that was 3 already. I mean, there's too many options, guys. That already tells you. Let's see what else we got here. Beats in 2 words: bassy and overpriced. Not bad, overpriced. That's something that I really want to review a pair of Beats because of that. I wanted to stress that. And actually, the newer ones have gotten a lot better, but that's a whole nother like topic. Why is it so significant a difference between 126 kilobits per second and 2496? Yeah, well, I think most of that is the bit rate rather than the kilohertz. Really, what you want is 24-bit gives you a much larger dynamic range for the audio, so the noise floor is much lower. 24-bit affects it more than the sampling rate, the 44 kilohertz, 96 kilohertz thing. And then you've got, the bit rate. So the bit rate has a huge impact, even more so. Yeah, Lumoid's pretty good. That's what I just went through recently. Amps, if it gets loud enough, does that mean it's good? Yeah, I've heard a lot of conflicting opinions on that myself, actually. But I haven't heard any significant... Like, it's funny. I have actually plugged in the 800s and 600s into my phone before. And I didn't think it sounded that bad. It just needed a crap load of volume to become, like, audible. Let's see. Most transparent DAC amp. Oh man, I have not heard enough. I am not qualified to answer that. I would be a very inaccurate answer if I tried to answer that one. Upgrade from K240 under 100. Ooh, that's a good one. Wow. I have to think about that for a while. I mean, if they don't bother you, the M40X are okay. If you can find a K553 or a DT770 80 ohm or something like that used for under 100, that'd be pretty good. MQA on a DAC. Oh, codecs. Okay, I have not heard of that before. Is the Harman curve the target curve for a headphone? We'll review next too. Actually, the HP50 is on the review list because it fits the Harman curve so well. I have some interesting thoughts about this headphone in general, and not just about the frequency response. So we'll get there. It's funny, I never played lead guitar. I still do play occasionally, but I never really played solos. It wasn't really my thing. It was mostly rhythm. I think it's more of a lack of I got lazy after a point, after learning a lot of rhythm guitar, so that's why. Why don't I use? I do use a DAC amp. I have a Modi 1 and a Magni 2. I just don't have experience with a lot of different DACs and amps. That's why. Oh man, that's like an impossible question. 3 albums for the rest of my life. Stop it. Just give me a connection to the internet with Spotify. PC 151. Oh my god. Wow. I remember those. They were super harsh, quite uncomfortable, but the mic was actually not too bad. Oh, master quality authenticated. Okay, that's interesting. This is ATH A500X. What if the Harman curve is wrong? See, the funny thing is, there's no evidence to suggest that it's absolutely right either. It's sort of like a preference curve. That's a good one, Rasta. How expensive? Like everything together or just the DAC and the amp? Because I'm not using a very expensive DAC and amp setup here. I've kind of had the meme stack for some time now. It's the Modi 1 and Magni 2. So that's probably like $250, something like that, just for the DAC and amp. Of course, the HD800 was $1,000, so that was pretty expensive. But in my opinion, still worth it. Hissing of records versus FLAC. Oh, there is something to be said for the analog nature of vinyl. And I really do love vinyl because I grew up playing around with a lot of vinyl, actually, just to play with it because I thought it was cool. So, I mean, if you're a purist, obviously, vinyl is not perfect. So maybe you'd like FLAC better. But then some of the dynamic range that 44K 16-bit doesn't quite there compared to really, really good vinyl. So do I listen to them? Actually, I love some Michael Jackson songs, yeah, but I'm not like a huge fan. I'm not like a super fan of that stuff, but yeah, I should check those out. Vinyl rips, yeah. Yeah, that would be really good. Most expensive gear I've ever demoed. Yeah, I think that's probably the, I think it was Headamp? Yeah, I think it was Headamp that brought the setup of their Blue Hawaii SE and the SR009 to this meet that I went to, and that was ridiculous. I think the headphones are $5,000 and that amp is like $6,000, something like that. That's craziness. I wish I could just drop money like that. That'd be a nice review. THX00. Ooh, yeah, I have heard that headphone. Kind of do want to get a full review on it at some point. But yeah, it's kind of like a bass head headphone that's relatively smooth. There's a little bit of it's pretty V-shaped, but I think the bass goes into the mids a little too much, so it ends up sounding slightly boomy. Other than that, it's pretty awesome. Also, it has like not enough isolation because it's basically like semi-closed. IEMs delivering the same performance. I've heard that soundstage of IEMs in particular is just not quite there compared to full-size headphones, but I haven't heard things like Noble K10s and like crazy stuff. The ER4 is definitely on my list because the ER4 is like another one of those reference sounds that I have yet to hear. What? Yeah. Oh, the fatality. Oh my. Let me see. I may still have it. Here it is. Man, this thing is beat up. Yep, I still have the Fatality, believe it or not. And was it actually good? Surprisingly, wow, these ear pads really did get shredded over the years. But surprisingly, Tile actually measured the fatalities, and they come out looking kind of like a Arvana Live, but darker and not as well tuned. But I have to say, when you equalize that thing, I am blown away. It should have costed like 80 to 100 bucks. I just tried that the other day again. It must have some Denon drivers in there or something, or whatever the D1001 or something was using. Blah blah blah. What is your ideal Endgame? Oh man, that's gonna change every year, I think, at this rate, with all the flagships coming out. But I have to say, if I had to pick at least a headphone, I would probably pick the Focal Utopia or the LCD4. Although I need to hear that 009 and BHSE with my own music again. CB1, have not reviewed that yet. I need to do that because I got scolded the other day for being like, you haven't even tried that yet. So I need to do that. Oh yeah, I have seen the 2 Chainz video actually. That's the Sennheiser Orpheus, the original. I think it goes for like 30 grand on eBay now. I want to hear that thing, obviously. FLAC versus records if you don't like the hissing noise, but you want the highest quality. Or you could just get FLAC of a record. You know, a lot of people, take vinyl, record it, and then there you go. But, I mean, if you don't want any of those pops and clicks and slight, hiss from the records, then yeah, you're probably going to want the digital copy, of course. You with headphones, most headphones, you'll notice the difference, even if you're an amateur audiophile, just because, headphones are so close to your ear, so you can hear the details in general. It's kind of an advantage versus speakers in a room. In some cases, SC2000, I've heard it's a huge bass head headphone, but I haven't heard that. What music do I listen to? When I review the headphones, I listen to everything. I have everything from Slayer to classical music on my list. Just everything. But in general, it's a lot of EDM at the office when I'm trying to concentrate programming. And then sometimes I'll go back to my old school stuff, which if you guys have been following me for a long time, you'll know I'm a big metalhead. So that's most of it. EDM and metal. Best earbuds for under 150 bucks. Man, I wish I had more IEM review experience. Then I'd be able to answer that. Will I get electrostatic ear speakers? I want to review stacks, trust me. I just, I haven't found a source for them at the moment. DT150, yeah, that's on the list. I want to hear that. Also, I haven't yet. HD25, yeah, people have asked me to review that. What do I predict the HD820 will be? Well, I've heard that, some mix between like it's going to be a closed 800 or it's going to be something else. We don't really know yet. Is Tile a shill? No, not really. I guess it depends. Like some of his reviews confuse me because like even though he and I seem to have somewhat similar preferences now that I've been listening to these headphone things for so long, I don't think he's completely unbiased, but I don't think he's very biased either. But I don't know. I just feel like his ears may work better one day rather than the other. That's my thoughts on Tile. Top 10 albums, my God, that's also very difficult because there's albums I go to for sound quality, and then there's albums I go to that I just like. HP50, yeah. Well, I have another thing coming in that I think I posted. Did I post about this on Twitter? I don't know, but I bought a Bang & Olufsen H6 2nd gen. I'm hoping that will be, well, kind of spoiler alert, these are not going to be my new office headphone, the HP50, but I'm looking at those B&Os. Balanced versus unbalanced. Oh, so you mean like, yeah, I know what you mean. I don't actually have a balanced amp, so I think balanced, the main advantage is, you get to have a lot more power from the same amp. Bands that I recommend. Oh man, I could spend an hour on that question. Bands you have to specify more. Bands I recommend for like what? reaching out to headphone companies. I already have. Actually, it's funny. Beyerdynamics sent me the Amaron or the Amiron, whatever it is. I think it's Amaron. But anyway, they sent me that, and then they sent me the DT1770, and they must have not been happy because, they didn't get great reviews out of them. So I didn't think they were worth it. How do I acquire music? I used to collect a lot of stuff like local files. And I kind of want to build up a vinyl collection at some point, just haven't gotten that yet. But most of the time I listen streaming nowadays. It used to be all just a fixed collection that I would add to, all locally. Car, I have a 2007 Acura TL 3.2 with the navigation. I am not into car audio, but that would be pretty cool to get into that. But for me, my immediate knee-jerk reaction to car audio isn't that just having as much bass as possible? Although I would like to hear some of the nicer systems like Mark Levinson, and I think Bang & Olufsen makes one too. The luxury car systems are supposed to be fantastic with like 20 speakers. It's craziness. Should you get an Orpheus? I'm going to stop there. Yeah, probably. If you can afford an Orpheus, I don't even think you want to ask that question. The HE6 is a very, very fast and detailed headphone, but I think it's too bright with the stock pads. How are mobile amps for a phone? Well, I guess it depends on the quality of the DAC that you're feeding that amp that you're plugged into the headphone jack on, unless you got something that's like off an OTG cable. Man, you guys give me questions fast now. Best headphone under $200? Ooh, oh man, I think my default knee-jerk reaction would be a K553 if you have to go with closed back. If it was open, I'd probably say like a 598 and then equalize it a lot. But that's kind of like the $150 thing. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate the nice words there. Bose or Beats? Oh man, come on. Don't do this to me. I would still say Bose though. What's next? The Beyerdynamic DT1990 is my next review. 600 and 650 sounded really muddy and claustrophobic. No, I'm that's about right. Especially if you think that if you like the HE400S, and especially in a like review and like not a review environment, the opposite of a review environment, a meet environment. The bright treble on the HE400S, slightly bright treble to me. If you listen to that in a not quiet area, it might sound really impressive. But then, like, when you go home after you buy it and you listen to it for hours, you realize it's pretty fatiguing. Like, that's what happens to me with a lot of stuff. So, but it is true that the 600, 650 have somewhat limited soundstage. Specs of my computer, I went over that earlier in the stream. But yeah, 4790K, 16 gigs of RAM, GTX 770 right now. Yeah, I think this is actually going to automatically upload as a Q&A YouTube video. So, we'll it'll be up there after it's done. Do you think headphones that cost more than the 600 and 650 with EQ are actually worth it? And actually, that it can be true. Not all of them. Obviously, if you saw my LCD3 review, you'll see that $2,000 does not necessarily buy you significant greatness over $1,000. But like, take for example the HD800. I mean, it's $1,000 new, but you can get these for like $600 to $750. $600 to $750, not $6. I wish. That'd be great. Everyone would have one. Excuse me. But yeah, I think that if you go up in the rungs and you don't like the sound quality, if the driver is fast enough to produce details, then you can equalize it to how you want it to sound. That's kind of what I did with mine. Other hobbies other than headphones and music? Well, I really like driving, but I also play guitar, as you guys know. And I hang out with my friends on the weekends and go out to local bars and stuff. How did I get into audiophile hobby? Oh man, that's a good one. Actually, I've always wanted to know how there was a way to know what a headphone was going to sound like before I bought it. That's kind of the problem. I grew up with relatively frugal parents, so it's not like we just bought $20 earbuds. It was like, ooh, you bought something? You already have that. Why would you buy something else? It's like I've totally shifted from that. But not to knock at my parents or anything, because they'll probably watch this video later. But now I think it was amazing when I found Tile stuff. But the thing that really got me, moving on, the thing that really got me was I heard an M50, the original M50, while I was in grad school, and I was like, I need to hear more stuff because it was really good at that time. Lossless streaming services, yeah. You know, the thing I have against Tidal is I have really strange music taste sometimes, so I can't find what I'm looking for in Tidal. Ideally, I'd have both Tidal and Spotify, but, you know, Spotify I'm already paying for, so I think it's good enough. What is your what is your favorite headphone and why is it the A900X? That's awesome. Um, I don't really have a favorite headphone of all. I think that each headphone has pluses and minuses. Never even like, thanks, Julian. Never even like thought about there is no one best headphone. That's why this whole channel exists. It's so interesting to see what people think about, you know, what sounds like what. Whoa, I just rolled down too far. Audiophile level Bluetooth speakers. Ooh, that's actually a really good question. Maybe someone can chime in the chat. I'm actually not aware of Bluetooth speakers that are really amazing. Although I know there's that crazy one that's like this big and stuff that I think was an Unbox Therapy reviewed. That's a video worth watching. That thing's crazy. I think the Iowa or whatever. Would I still recommend Q701s? Yeah, I'd say so. They're still a little bright. For my taste, they have a really wide soundstage, which is really fun to listen to. That's why I really like them. I remember back then, I think I was really anti-Sennheiser because I wanted to do something different. I wanted to hear something different, and that's why I stuck with AKGs for a while. So if you want something that's more flavorful, I would say so. Nowadays, I would probably EQ the 2K peak out a little bit and some of the treble, and you're still left with a great headphone. I don't really have anything seriously against the AKG stuff. 4chan or Reddit. Oh, Reddit all the time. All the time. Excited for the Aeon. Yeah, the measurements looked fantastic, so I definitely am excited for that thing. If I heard a tube amp, yeah, I have heard a couple of tube amps. One I heard was, oh man, what was it? The Hi-Fi Man EF4A something. They make a small tube amp, but it was interesting because way back in grad school I had experience with that. I plugged at the time I had an SRH 440 and that was about it. And plugging into a computer and then plugging into the tube amp. The tube amp noticeably smoothed out the upper mids, which are kind of grainy and forward on it. So it actually did change the character quite a bit. I don't know why, but the other time I heard a tube amp was these crazy expensive Woo Audio tube amps at a meet. And that was the first time I heard an HE6, and it sounded smooth to me on the HE6. And nowadays, now that I think about what the HE6 sounds like, that's pretty crazy. So, favorite beer of all time. Ooh, okay, so on the German side of things, it would be a Weihenstephaner Corbinian or the Vitus. And then on the Belgian side of things, that would be a Delirium, oh man, which one was it? I know there's a Delirium Tremens, and then there's whatever the other Delirium is. So good. Absolutely incredible. I have seen the refreshed Acura TLX. It does look much better, especially with those exhausts. That A-Spec model, though. The Fola, I don't know. I haven't actually heard it myself, but it seems like it's a decent E10K competitor. I have a E10K at work. That's what I use there. Super best audio friends are Head-Fi. I mean, considering what happened to Head-Fi lately, yeah, SBAF. Grad school for what? I have a master's in computer engineering. Apple Music versus Spotify. I've never even tried Apple Music. I just go with Spotify. PM3 versus the Sign. Ooh, that's a good question. I think I would take the PM3 personally because I just cannot do on-ears. But the Sign sounds better, I think, objectively. Isn't Spotify audio so low res? Yeah, no, actually, and what's funny is some tracks sound like they're at like some kind of lower VBR, and then like some of them definitely sound like they're at 320. So most of the time, at least for the stuff that I'm listening to, most of the time, I mean, I can tell when it's bad. Like, trust me, with the HD 800, it can be very bad. But with premium, a lot of the tracks are 320 that I listen to. At least it sounds that way. So it's not bad. It's not that bad. Yeah, a lot of us, I think a lot of people did hear the ETH M50, or back when there wasn't even an M50X. And the M50 was just pretty, actually the M50 was pretty good. It was top dog for some time. It was just that a lot of other stuff tried to dethrone it. I think it did. You love the DT770s? Great. Yeah, I really liked my old pair of DT770s. They were pretty awesome. Was grad school worth it? I actually got paid to go there because I was doing, it's kind of a long story, but I had a stipend going there. So in terms of monetarily, was it worth it? Yeah, definitely Was it worth it for where I am now? Not necessarily. I kind of selected the wrong thing. I ended up becoming a programmer instead of doing computer engineering, which is a lot more hardware based. But I studied a lot of hardware, and then I ended up doing software. But at least I ended up doing the thing that I liked more in the end. I just didn't know it at the time. What aspect of headphones is the most important? You know, that's a really good question, because nowadays I'm gravitating more towards speed of headphones and detail retrieval rather than perfect tuning, because I know that if a driver is very, very clean, then you can equalize it to sound like what you want. And that's actually the exact case of the HD800. And it gets even better with the SDR mod, which I haven't done to my pair, by the way. Will a basic feel amp deck change the sound like a tube? No, I don't think so, although I feel like my E10K sounds ever so slightly warmer than my Magni 2 stack does. So I don't think it'll change like a tube. One of the useful parts of having a tube amp, well, useful or bad, depending on how you perceive it, is the harmonic distortion tends to be higher, which kind of gives... It's very hard to describe what harmonic distortion sounds like across the board. From the lowest to highest frequency, but if you look up some YouTube videos of like music that's had it boosted on purpose across all frequencies, you'll see what it does. It's kind of strangely musical. Least favorite headphones. That's a really good one. Oh my god, I cannot stand the 7506. That's probably the number one most hated headphone, because it's so bright and so abrasive. But that's exactly why people like it, because it reveals everything that's wrong with the recording. But I cannot stand it, because it's not really designed for music enjoyment as far as I'm concerned. M50X, I think, is not a very good value nowadays. Like I said, the M50 used to be, but the M50X now, not so great. So that's one of my least favorite. The M40 sounds better to me now, the M40X. So those are some of my least favorite. Do I like Tool? Yeah, Tool is good, but I haven't heard a lot of their stuff. But what I have heard, yeah, they're pretty talented. Have I considered studying audiology? Ooh, yeah, that's true. I would be ended up working at a Modic probably at that point. That'd be cool, but I already kind of went down a computer-related path. T50RP Mark III. I think I heard the T20, T40, and T50 at Zeos's place, and stock, they just don't really do it for me. They're a little V-shaped, but they're kind of scratchy-ish. Not the best sound, but I mean, clearly they have a lot of modding opportunity. Let's see. I'm considering modding my HD800. Mine are, as I said a minute ago, mine are not modded right now, but the SDR mod is worth doing, because it not only reduces the 6K peak, but it also makes the headphone faster at that frequency. I'm not sure about the ANACs combining with SDR. I'm not sure if those were designed to work together. Probably not would be my guess. Really, Apple Music is that good? Alright, I'll have to take a look at that. Let's see where I'm at here. If I had to choose between SHP 9500 HD600 and one of X2650, oh man, one neutral and one warmer. You know, it's funny because the HD600 and the 650 are not different enough for me to say one is flat and one is bassier. Actually, both of them have a lot of bass roll off, but I would choose the 650 instead of all those four that you just listed, because the X2 is kind of low on detail, even though it is bassier and fun. Aloha, what's up, Scott? I saw you on Twitter. Seems like you have some really awesome microphones going on or something. What does the speed of the headphone mean? Yeah, actually, I have to make a video about sound description. That's on the list. Speed of the headphone is how fast. So whenever you give an impulse to a headphone driver, it vibrates. And the speed is how fast it goes from vibrating to stopping back to where it's supposed to be. So if you get a lingering, and that's what's called ringing. If you energize it and then it just keeps going when it's not supposed to keep moving, that's a slow driver. That's what we call that, and that leads to a lot of the etchiness. I use terms like grain etch. That's what speed being slow does to a headphone. You want it to be very clean, very fast. You give more detail retrieval. Fire custom streets. Oh, yeah. I don't expect those to be great. B&H MDR 7520, huh? That's interesting. I don't remember the graph of that thing looking particularly amazing, but I'm sure it sounds fun. ABX blind tests. You know, I would if I had like a proper setup to do such a thing. Sold my E10K for Dragonfly. Dragonflies. Yeah, I used one like once because one of my friends had one, but I don't have enough AB experience with that. I know I'm gonna offend a lot of people saying I don't like the 7506. That's not unsurprising. What's up, Frogina? That's a crazy name. I like that. Can you take a high quality headphone that takes well to equalizing and make it sound more pleasing than a $1,000 headphone? Actually, the answer to that is absolutely. Like, I would rather listen to an HD 650 if I had no EQ available. Wait, what was this? High quality headphone that takes well and make it sound more pleasing. Oh, yeah. So there could be some really expensive headphones that don't EQ very well. Believe it or not, there are some really expensive headphones out there that just don't have a very pleasing sound. So you could equalize something that's less expensive, like a DT8600. That's a really good one, to what you want, and you already have a more enjoyable sounding headphone. 712 or X2. I mean, that's kind of a matter of, the 712 is more detailed, but it sounds very different. It's got a lot more brighter treble. X2 is actually kind of peaky in the treble, but it's got a nice bass boost, but it's not as clean. So it's kind of a toss up there depending on what you're prioritizing. How old am I? 27. Why do I do YouTube? Because it's just something fun I do on the side. I have a full-time job and whatever, so this is just something I do on the side. I don't really have any need for Patreon or whatever, so you guys get all this free content as long as you put up with my ads. Am I friends with Zeos? Yes, I actually am friends with Zeos in real life, and yeah, he is actually a cool person. How far do I hope to go with this channel? Oh man, I hope I don't go too far. I don't want to become like some million subscriber person who has to deal with all the crap that YouTube's been throwing at people lately. I want to stay small and personal. Also, I get to answer all your comments that way because this channel is not super subscribed to. What is this channel about? Channel now, it used to be a little different. I used to do like generally tech reviews, like gaming mice and stuff. Right now it's all headphones, all like audiophile stuff. Yes, I can say ooga booga if you really want me to. And hopefully that sounds good on my mic. Thank you, SailCat9. Will I review the Mezzi 99 Classic? I heard those at Z's. They're with the newest pads. They're real bassy, and I was like, what is this? I haven't heard a headphone with that much bass in a long time. That's very strange. Hopefully there are some Mezzi 99 Classics that still have the older pads. If you look at Tile's updated review, you'll see the newest pads they're using are so bassy for some reason. But otherwise, I think they're pretty close to a Harman response. How's the soundstage in the HE400S? Man, it's been a while. I guess you got to rewatch my review on those for to remember. I think it was better than the 600 and 650 because those headphones, 600 650, don't have the best soundstage, to be honest. Close back headphone around $500. Ooh, man, I don't know. That price range is so like bizarre. I tend to think of things as kind of ending at $400 as being worth it. The next real step up is like $1,000 or more, like the Summit Fi stuff. So close back headphones around $500. I'm not coming up with anything great. There aren't actually that many from zero to infinite price. There aren't a lot of close back headphones that I really like. They're pretty hard to do right. Maybe ZMF Classic. That could be one. I haven't heard that one, actually, so take that with a grain of salt. What kind of video? I used to play a lot of first-person shooters. I used to stream on Twitch, actually. Let's see. Oh, man. I'm not a fan of the way this live chat scrolls on my end. Right, all right, John, that one. Yamaha HM200. I have not heard the Yamaha headphones. Yeah, I did actually teach a lot of people how to get pretty good at Battlefield. There's a lot of I basically just optimized my way through making it look like I was cheating, but I really was just really good and had the very, very high frame rate, very low sensitivity, all that good stuff. AudioQuest Nighthawks. I have heard the Nighthawks. They have bass that extends way too far into the mids, and that's their biggest problem. Otherwise, I didn't think that they were horrible. What's up, Coop? Have you tried BA IEMs? Yeah, I have not, and I need to. People keep telling me that the one more triple driver is really good, but I haven't actually heard any balanced armatures, unless that's one of them. I don't even know. I think the measurements for, and this is just, me searching stuff, the SE315 and the 535s looks really, really good. Those are kind of like multiple driver. I'm not even sure if they're BA. They might be. You can correct me. Headphone fanboy, yeah, I can see it. You're a fan of headphones. Thanks for saying you love my channel. Have I heard any portable on-the-go sealed headphones that would be a similar sounding headphone to the 600? Yeah, actually, the K553 is somewhat similar as an on-the-go. The on-the-go version of that is the K551. It's got a shorter cable. So you buy new or used. I think that used is a much, much better value, but it depends on how much you value the warranty. Most of the time, my stuff doesn't tend to break for me. I hear all these stories about people having their cables go out and whatever, and it seems like only a few specific models have that problem in my situation. Amazon or Headphone, though. If you're buying new, I'd buy Amazon. Otherwise, Headphone, eBay, stuff like that should be pretty good. r/AV Exchange, check that place out as well. There's lots of stuff there. The name of my channel, yeah, that's a good one. metal571 is really stupid, and it's something I came up with when I was like 14 or something. That was back when Gmail was still in invite stage. So when it was still an invite stage, I had to come up with some name. I thought it was cool. I was into metal since I was like 12, so I just was like, okay, those numbers sound cool together, whatever. It's pretty dumb. There's not much behind it. Sorry to disappoint you. Rocksmith. Someone talked to me about Rocksmith before also. I thought that was pretty cool. I just learned guitar myself, on my own. I never really had a formal lesson ever. And back in the resources available in 04 when I started playing were not as good as they are now. So yeah, it is possible to teach yourself there. But Rocksmith sounds like a cool idea too. Perforated leather ear pads. Are there perforated leather ear pads out there? Because I have not actually had a headphone that had perforated leather ear pads. But they should let your ears breathe more if it's anything like car seats. Mics for sale. I don't know if I have any mics for sale. I don't even know what happened to my Samsung Go mic. Maybe I gave it to somebody. I don't think I have any mics for sale right now. 7506 versus V6 every time. V6 seems like it has a little bit more bass, so I'll take it. 7506 extends, but I think it's a little bit lean there, and both headphones are very harsh and bright to me, regardless. Yeah, when is Half-Life 3 coming out? Good question. You and I are both wondering that all the time. Am I a weeb? Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I am not at all. I'm not at all in any way into anime or like Japanese culture. Zios is like the total opposite. Have I heard the Focal, Ilir, and Utopia? I only heard the Utopia very shortly because I didn't really know what it was when I went to the meet. And I'm still kicking myself about that because I definitely need to get some long-term impressions on that. It measures so well. My first thought, I listened to it for like a couple seconds, and that was about it. And my immediate thoughts were like, wow, this headphone sounds really balanced. That's all. It seems to do everything fine. But, I haven't directly compared it. The 800s, do the 1060s scare me? The 1060s scare me in terms of how much of a review I'm going to give them that's all bad versus good. But I haven't heard them yet, so I don't really know. But there's a lot of talk about, the stock form of the M1060s being pretty bad. Thanks, JD. Am I a Phillies fan? No, actually, I grew up being a Yankees fan just because of where my family is from. So I don't really follow sports though in general. Z1R, best Philly cheesesteak. You have to go to Sonny's in Old City. Pat's is okay, but Sonny's in Old City and Tony Luke's in South Philly are awesome. Have I heard the Ether, Ether C Flow? I have heard I've heard both of those. The Ether I've heard before. I thought it was pretty much nothing special. Like, nothing. When nothing stands out to me about a headphone, that usually means it's a good thing. I tend to have a honeymoon period with headphones where, it's the best thing ever. And then that either stays or it just goes away very, very quickly. Or I find something really boring at first, and then over time I realize, hey, this is a really competent headphone. So Ether is kind of one of the latter. Ether C Flow, I've heard Z's pair, and it sounded very good. Everyone says it sounds way off and totally wrong, But I don't know, either he has a unicorn pair of Ether C flows, or all the measurements are wrong. So yes, people do send me headphones to review. I'm kind of opening up my channel to that more recently. So if you want to send me something, message me, and I'll let you know kind of like what point in line you are, because I only do these things maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. So I don't want you to send your headphones and then have me have them for a month and then finally review them and send them back. Excuse me. AKGs, I would get to compliment 650s now. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Q701, K701, K702, K712. There's so many. There's even the K601 and the K612 and the K501. It just goes, it's crazy. AKG has confused the crap out of everybody with that line. But if I had to pick one at this point, probably would be, well, see, the K701, K702, and Q701 all sound more similar. But they're all distinctly different from the tuning of like the K7XX, K712, and the K702 Anniversary. I think the K712 is the most technically impressive one of them, the one I reviewed most recently. So, but it is a little bit more color. The mids are actually more dropped out at 3K than the K701, Q701, and the K702. So if you want something that's more diffuse field neutral, K702. Do I listen to them at loud volumes? No, that actually, well, okay. Yes, I do listen to a lot of headphones on loud volumes, which probably explains why my preference is toward darker headphones. People who listen at much lower volumes probably will find my impressions very unusual. But louder volumes definitely do not provide better fidelity. When I'm actually trying to review a headphone, I cannot crank it too much, because at a certain point, I start to not be able to distinguish the air from everything else. It just kind of like blends together and it's way too loud. So you actually get worse fidelity if you go too loud. A lot worse. Set of earbuds, or do I carry around closed backs? I don't really walk around with my phone very much listening to music, so I don't even have like IEMs that I have go to. Actually, it's funny, I do own the Panasonic, what are those called? The $10 Panasonics that are like on Amazon when you search headphones, and that's like the first thing that comes up. I have those RPH120K, something like that, and I think for like $7 or $8, they're not too bad. But Biodynamic also sent me some, the Biodynamic, wow, this thing has gotten dusty, the Biodynamic Byron, which is in this little case here. And those are like $50 IEMs, and they're okay. They're not too bad. MDR Z7, I have heard the MDR Z7. I thought it was kind of dark, kind of too relaxed maybe, and a little bit odd and lumpy in the bass. I don't know if they're worth the money, but man, the build quality is super awesome. Z and I were kind of at odds when I listened to them, and he was telling me his impressions when I was over at his place, and I was like, yeah, I don't think these are particularly fantastic, but it is true that, you know, they do what they're trying to do very well, a dark, relaxing sound. Cheap headphones round up less than $100. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of comments about overseas people saying, you know, it's crazy how expensive it is to buy the higher end stuff, and I get that. I'll have to do that at some point, because that does sound like a good idea. HE400S or 400i. I think the 400i is a lot more capable, but it's also too bright for me. Definitely too bright. 400S is just kind of like a crappy attempt to dethrone an HD 600, but doesn't really succeed too well. DAPs? No, not really. I only really ever listen to something portable out of my phone. Then at the office, it's E10K. Amaron DT1990. Well, I can show you that I have the 1990 right here, thanks to a fan for review. So that's coming pretty soon. But at this point, spoiler again, the DT1990 is definitely the best of those three that I've heard: the 1770 Amaron and the 1990. But worth $600, still not saying that's worth $600. I'm sorry I didn't take them out of the case, but I guess I'm just too lazy. But yeah, it's called the Biodynamic Byron, BYRON. Have I heard the ultrasound? Oh man, yeah, I'm sure you're aware of Tyle's video where he's like, yeah, this hurts. He's like, that was like the best video ever, like $2,749. Wow. I love that video. No, I have never heard an ultrasound, actually. Some people say that some of them are passable, but not the really high-end ones. Rainbow Six Siege, I know friends who have those, those. Have played that game, but I have not. Etherflow, yeah, the Etherflow. Actually, the Etherflow Z has one of those, but I thought the original Ether did not have this weird etch in the treble that the Etherflow had on Z's system. So I don't know what's up with that. Some people are saying the original without the flow is actually a better sounding headphone, so not surprising. When am I going to upgrade? It's going to happen eventually. Someone on Discord was saying he'll be selling his NFB 11 at some point, so I'll probably snag one when that happens. Fake headphones are actually a big problem. You can say LOL, but that stuff does happen. There's a lot of fake 7506s and V6s on eBay, from what I've heard. So if something is too good to be true, don't try to buy a pristine condition 7506 for $10. It's not going to be genuine. But I've never actually run across a fake headphone. That would be pretty interesting to review. Did I ever get a chance to A/B the custom studio on DT770 Audiophile? Yeah, actually, that I actually had some pretty inaccurate. That I'm not a fan of the way I reviewed that thing, because I bought the DT770 Audiophile again later, and it was actually significantly brighter. This is an A500X. It was actually significantly brighter than the custom studio, from what I remember. So actually, if you have the custom studio, you're not missing out on much. It's still got a really good sound stage, and now that I've heard what a new DT770 Audiophile sounds like, for whatever reason, the ones that I've reviewed, I had a used one, and it sounded a lot less bright than the newest one. So it was really fun, and it had a lot more bass. And then I heard another used one that sounded the same way. Then I bought a new one, and it doesn't sound the same way. So I don't know what's going on. They all had brand new pads, so I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, custom studios are pretty good. A rant on Beats. Well, I have to get some Beats first so I can rant about them, because honestly, apparently the Solo 2, Solo 3 are supposed to be like passable headphones, and not crap. But the comfort's probably bad. Yeah, alright. I already answered Killer's thing. This is an A500X that I've had for quite a while, back when they were like $40 or something. And they're not quite as good as the A900X, of course, as you would expect. They have more cup resonance. The tuning is a little bassier, but the mids are a little sharper. So not as smooth, not as refined. Yeah, as people have said, the Solo 2 is pretty good. They seem to measure like the Harman response. They measure actually very similar to the HP50, but with even more bass added. So I have no doubts that they're actually not too bad. K545. I have not heard that one, but I don't know if they're using the same drivers as the 553 in there or not at this point. They might be. If so, then yeah, I can see why people like it. I've seen the new LCD Pro, but I haven't heard it. Haven't been to a meet where Odyssey was at, and checking that out. Collard greens are probably really good if you're a really good cook. 50,000. Oh yeah, the Sennheiser Orpheus, man. I wish I could hear that too. Let me just go and email Sennheiser PR to get a review unit of that. So I'm all caught up on the chat now. I'm probably gonna stay on for another like 5 minutes. So if there's any like last minute questions, go ahead and shoot. Otherwise, I'll end here in a couple of minutes. So this turned out pretty well. I didn't think I was going to get that many chat comments. Man, guys are coming at me. Maybe I should do this every couple weeks or something. Yeah, thanks. M40X Zeos version. Oh, yeah. That's a good one. I forgot about that. M40X with Zeos's insane pads were like the bassiest thing I've ever heard. I have no idea why. He must have had some I think he had angled HM5s on it or something, and it was so crazy. It sounded like Beats with more definition in the treble. It's ridiculous. K240 600 ohms. Yeah, actually the K240 monitor is something that's kind of on my list. I have not heard. That's the only 240 I think I've not heard. I have a Sextet. I had a DF, sold it. I had a 240 Studio, sold it. but I have not heard the monitor, and I never heard the Mark II, but that uses the same drivers as the Studio. HD800 is a reference that all other high-end headphones should be measured against. I'm not making that a statement. I'm just reading. In terms of detail, I think it sets the mark at $1,000. What speed you should be expecting from a Summit Fi headphone that's either at or above the price range. But tuning, I don't think is quite there. And even by Sennheiser's own standards, their own frequency response shows that there's a peak at 6K of about 3 or 4 dB. So even their compensation, they're a little bit off. That's what they fixed with the 800S, but then they messed up the bass. So I would say it's more like the 800 with the 800S's treble fix without the 800S's bass mess up would be kind of a reference for a diffuse field response headphone, which I'm not a fan of that curve, but that's what they were trying to do. All right, let's see what we got here. Great channel. Yeah, thank you. How many more headphones do I... Of course you would stop by here and ask me that. I like approximately 10,000% more headphones than Ishka does. Favorite releases of the year thus far? Oh, for music? I listen to a lot of hardstyle. I have no idea if you guys know anything about EDM in terms of that genre. I could list them, but most people probably would have no idea what I'm talking about. Have I listened to the THX00? Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. I have. I think the bass is good. Like, it's nice. It's actually a bit forward, even for me, but it does bleed a little bit into the mids. So not perfect. And I think there's a little bit of a treble peak, but it's not that bad. It's a good headphone though, but don't expect huge isolation or to use it in the office. It's kind of the main thing that keeps me from getting one for myself rather than just for review. Ideal DAC amp combo. I don't know. Ask the Discord. They'll know. Oh yeah, by the way, if you guys like all this chatting stuff and like headphones, the Reddit r/headphones has a Discord chat that you can join. It's just discord.me/headphones. So check that out. I'm on there all the time. HD800 for $600. That's a really good deal. I mean, if they're in, at least good condition, and even if they're SDR modded, yeah, I would go for it as long as you have an amp, and as long as you know what you're getting into, because they're going to be bright, probably for a lot of people. But again, you can EQ them because I made a video about that. Demo for the Orpheus sucked. Really? That's interesting. Yeah, the demo itself. Yeah. I heard about that. Yeah, you need to be able to listen to your own music. You need to be able to listen to things that you're very familiar with to really have a good impression of any kind, an accurate impression of any kind. I feel like for a headphone. So, oh really? The 240 600. All right, yeah. Inbox me. I'll put you on the list. That would be great because that would be awesome. I can sort of drive them. I don't know. Magni 2 is powerful, but the DF required an incredible amount of power. I think the 600 ohm 240s are pretty similar. Do I still recommend the DT770 80 ohm? I'm sort of like mixed on that because I don't know if my unit is just a fluke or what. I would say at this point, get a used DT770 80 ohm that looks like it's a little bit, worn. That's probably going to be like the one that I reviewed. Opinion on Zeos's headphone preferences. Okay, this is a good one. I kind of established this when I hung out with him. Zeos has a preference for. He's not as picky as me. Let's start out with that. That's the main difference between me and him. He likes stuff that does what it's trying to do well, whereas I like stuff that sounds the way I want it to sound. That's kind of the main difference between us, and he's not afraid of pad rolling the crap out of everything and trying lots of different amps. So that's the big difference between us there. If you buy the HD800, will you notice a difference? Yeah, well, the first thing that'll happen is it'll sound like the bass is not there. And the next thing that'll happen is that the low treble will eat at you. But in terms of soundstage difference and like detail difference, there couldn't be a larger difference probably between the M40X and the 800. Yeah, best bet for DT770 80 ohm. Take a look for a used pair on eBay. What's up, Pudding? Ever heard of ESP 950? Yeah, you know what? I have not, and I really want to, because a lot of people are saying that with my sound preferences, that would be pretty great for an electrostat. RIP 7506s. I highly doubt that, because everybody loves them in the studio because they're so used to that sound. They're like the NS10 of headphones. Everyone has them in like every studio. They all sound the same, and everyone knows exactly what that sound is, and I think that's why people like them so much. But for music listening, I don't think the general public should be buying them. That's just my opinion, though. FX Audio DAC X6, huh? I'll have to look at that. Does Zeos tend to like bright sounding headphone? I don't think so. I think he likes whatever he likes. I think he likes stuff that his preference is like, okay, what is this headphone trying to do? What is it trying to be? And does it achieve that? And if it hits the mark on that criteria, then yeah, I think that's when he would like something. Sorry, that's a great chat message. What do you think would be my Endgame headphones? I got asked that earlier in this Q&A. Man, it's tough. I think at this point it'd probably be something like a Focal Utopia. I need to listen to these three: Utopia, SR009. Actually, sorry, make that four. Utopia, SR009 on a BHSE, SR007, and the fourth LCD4. I need to hear all of those in great detail. Then I would be able to tell you the best of the best of the best of the best. Favorite music genres. I'm still a big hardstyle guy, but I also like metal, like I've always liked. EDM is just I like a lot of stuff. I like hip hop. I like everything except probably country, and that's about it. HD 700s, yeah, I have heard the HD 700s. Man, those are bright. Man, they have a huge treble peak. Crap, they are not fun to listen to. They are brighter than the 800, I think, by quite a bit. I don't really know why those need to exist. They're so random. They're such a random headphone that have nothing to do with Sennheiser's sound signature. I don't get them. T90 review. Actually, you know what? I have heard that exact T90 pair that you reviewed, and it is very painful. And yeah, you do have to take a shot before listening to them. It's horrible. Terrible. It's like amazing soundstage and pretty good detail, but man, the treble's just, that peak is so painful. DT 1990, big improvement over 650s or Argons? No, I wouldn't say huge improvement at all. The Argons have an incredible soundstage. 1990 has probably about as much grain as an Argon. 650s, 650s are awesome. I would still choose the 650s. M1060 thoughts. I'm only going off of what other people are telling me on the M1060, and it sounds like it doesn't sound particularly great stock. So that's the big problem there. I should get a pair of those in soon, though. I need to do the 1990 first because it's the same guy who has those. Am I interested in IEMs? I'm interested in them, but I haven't heard enough of them to give you a really good, impression of what the best one would be. Best portable headphone I've heard so far. It was a very short demo, but it sounded like the B&O H6 version 1 was awesome. And that's why I actually bought a B&O H6 version 2, because that may be my new, very classy looking, beautiful headphone, by the way. New work headphone, and it is a portable too. Not familiar with planers. Best within budget cans, mid-fi budget, upper mid-fi, upper mid-fi. I'm sorry, I just have to laugh at that because it's just the level of description people go through. And the first thing that's wrong with that is that classifying headphones in terms of just their price alone is so bad. It's not a good way to judge them. Really expensive ones can sound horrible. I'm serious. LCD3 was nowhere near sounding like it's supposed to be $2,000. But anyway, best within budget. I actually want to make, I'm going to save that question for a video, because I want to do a video on like my picks 2017. If you guys want to see something like that, I think a lot of you you'll be resolving a lot of these questions in that video. What's the point of diminishing returns when it comes to headphone price tiers? Oh yeah, that's a really good one. I would say that the best value is somewhere around $100 to $200. Once you start going to the next step up is probably like HD 600, HD 650 land. Once you start going around 300, but once you go up to 300 to 400, you're already into the diminishing returns. And then when you go beyond that, forget about it. It's nowhere near worth it. And it's funny because I own the HD 800. This was $1,000. And it's still nowhere near worth it. But it's just that I'm such an audiophile, and it has that next level up of detail that's worth it to me. But to most people, come on, don't waste your hard-earned money on that thing. But if you're an audiophile, yeah, you should buy it. Especially because they're really cheap used now, relatively speaking. Where would I rank Z-House? 1 to 10. 1 genuine, or sorry, 10 genuine, 1 being a shill. I can't say that guy's a shill. He just has specific preferences. That's all. We just don't always hear the same thing. That's a good question. I really couldn't. Alir. The Utopia is supposed to be that much better than the Alir, to be honest. I haven't heard the Alir though. Jealous of the H6. H6 is amazing looking. Have I heard the EL8 open closed? Yeah, both of them. I think both of them are 2nd gen. The open back is, yeah, I thought the open back was pretty decent. But again, it's just these are all short impressions, so I couldn't. That's why I do these full reviews. I need like a week or two to form real impressions. Closed back sounded very good when I heard it at Z's also, but again, it's just quick. Nothing stood out to me that was really bad. Maybe the treble was a little bit bright though on the closed. TH500RP. Oh, I think you're talking about the TH50. This in stock form, no, but I reviewed the Argon, which is a unless you're talking about the, actually I don't know what a 500RP is. 900, I don't know. I'll come back to that. Yeah, top 10. Okay, yeah, sure. I will do a picks for 2017. I get so many questions on so many comments being like this versus this versus this. What's the best in this price range? So I need to make a video on that because that's ridiculous that I haven't done that yet. HE500. I have heard an HE500. I guess I never reviewed it, but I borrowed one for a while from a audiophile community member, you could say, and I thought it was very good back then. In terms, I think that's one of the headphones I would say is probably an actual good upgrade. That's between HD650 price tier and HD100 price tier. But yeah, it does have a little bit of a 10K peak, but man, is it smooth through the rest of the range. Jotunheim. I don't know if it's bright or not. I didn't hear anything bad about it. Yeah. Thank you for the entertaining comment there. Yeah, Peter North, that's hilarious. I'm sorry. That's not even like offending me. This is really funny. The fact that this chat is big enough to have you join it, that's awesome. Let's see. TH500 is a full-size planer. Why does that not even like ring a bell with me? That's craziness. Are the H6 worth it? Don't know yet. Stay tuned for the review. I get those actually tomorrow, the version 2s. What's your take on Hi-Fi Man's general build quality? I think my reaction to that question should tell you everything you need to know. Not the best. Best way to clean pads. I've heard that you can just wash them in the laundry machine, I think. Oh, really? The dryer shrunk them? I didn't even read that part before I answered. Maybe don't take my advice on that one. You can send me an HE500. Oh, man, that would be awesome. I definitely need to do a serious review on those. SHP 9500 overrated. Can't talk. It's like 11 o'clock here. No, I think the SHP 9500 sounded quite good to me for the price. How was the bass on the EL8C? It was too short of a demo. I couldn't tell you for sure. Do I use my 880 premiums? Don't have any, actually. I used to have the 880. What was it? I had the 880 Pros. That was the first ever audiophile headphone review I ever did. And it was probably way off if you go back and watch it. Of course, everyone's going to watch it now that I've said that. My impressions back then were just, I did as much research as I could, but nothing. That's the thing about this hobby. Nothing Beats experience in listening to stuff yourself. And we're already over an hour, so I'm going to end it there. Thanks everyone for came here for the Q&A, especially Peter. And I'll see you guys again soon. And stay tuned for the 1990 review. It's coming next week. Take care.